In the 1st century AD, Ephesus was a sprawling Roman megacity on the coast of Asia Minor. Asia Minor was a wealthy, strategic region comprising the westernmost part of modern-day Turkey. But the city's survival relied entirely on a massive global operation, religious tourism. Today, all that is left of the Great Temple of Artemis is a single, solitary column standing in a marsh. But 2,000 years ago, it was a gleaming architectural marvel, recognized across the Mediterranean as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Beyond rituals, the temple was Asia Minor's central bank. Monarchs deposited treasuries, and priests issued high-interest loans. As a legal asylum, it drew tens of thousands of international pilgrims. To serve them, a secondary economy of inns, markets, and merchants bloomed around the temple's borders. At the center of all this wealth stood the goddess Artemis. The Ephesians worshipped a highly specific, localized version of the deity. Her statue was adorned with heavy clusters of what historians believe to be either eggs or multiple breasts, cementing her role as the ultimate patroness of fertility and the sworn protector of the city. In ancient Ephesus, religious devotion and civic survival were exactly the same thing. To keep the city alive, the money had to flow, and to keep the money flowing, the people had to believe. This constant stream of pilgrims created an incredibly lucrative market for ancient souvenirs. The most popular item was a miniature silver replica of the Artemis shrine, allowing tourists to take a piece of the goddess back home. The men who manufactured these shrines belonged to the silversmiths guild. Led by the outspoken Demetrius, they operated as a highly organized, heavily armed labor union with immense political sway. They conducted business in the commercial agora. This sprawling trade center was the city's economic heart, trading international cargo alongside religious artifacts. The union's wealth, political power, and survival hinged entirely on thousands of weekly tourists desperate to buy silver idols. Demetrius and his silversmiths sat comfortably at the top of a perfectly balanced, highly profitable status quo. As long as the tourists kept worshipping Artemis, the guild kept getting richer. Around 52 AD, a Jewish tentmaker named Paul arrived. He walked into this dominant pagan environment with a message that directly threatened the local economy. Paul began preaching in the public halls and marketplaces, arguing a single disruptive point: gods made with human hands are no gods at all. Over 3 years, the movement spread rapidly, winning over thousands across the province. This growth triggered immediate financial fallout. As conversions rose, demand for silver Artemis shrines plummeted, evaporating the guild's primary income in real time. Paul's purely spiritual message inadvertently triggered a catastrophic local economic recession. He proved that a single compelling idea could bankrupt an entrenched industry. Demetrius immediately called an emergency union meeting of the silversmiths. Standing before the city's craftsmen, he weaponized their financial panic. He delivered a dual argument. First, he warned that their honorable trade was in grave danger of falling into disrepute. Second, he claimed the great goddess Artemis herself was about to be robbed of her divine majesty. The craftsmen snapped. They formed a furious mob, poured into the streets, and violently seized Gaius and Aristarchus, 2 men from the Roman province of Macedonia who had been traveling with Paul. Macedonia was a major Roman territory located to the north of Greece. The mob dragged their hostages into the city's epicenter, the Great Theater. This massive stone structure held 25,000 people, creating a terrifying acoustic chamber. For 2 continuous hours, the hysteria was deafening. The massive crowd locked into a single, repetitive chant, screaming, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians," over and over again. This 2-hour climax was the explosive collision of threatened wallets and deeply entrenched cultural pride. The entire city effectively shut down. The chaos only broke when a man known as the Grammateus stepped out to face the 25,000-person mob. The Grammateus was the town clerk, an elected official who served as the highest-ranking local administrator in the city. He deployed a masterful diplomatic strategy. Instead of debating theology, he validated their religious pride, assuring the crowd that Ephesus's status as the guardian of Artemis was undeniable, and the goddess was entirely safe. Then he deployed his true leverage, the looming threat of the Roman Empire. He reminded the crowd that this unlawful assembly risked drawing the attention of the Roman military, which would quickly revoke the city's freedom and impose brutal military retribution. Finally, he laid down the law. He dismissed the mob by telling Demetrius that if the Union had a legitimate financial grievance, the Roman courts were fully open to handle it through proper legal channels. The greatest religious riot in Ephesan history ended quietly. It was quelled by the cold, hard reality of Roman imperial law and the desperate fear of losing civic autonomy. Paul departed for Macedonia shortly after the riot, but the damage to the Artemis industry was done. In 3 years, his mission had eroded the city's economic dependence on the goddess, setting a new trajectory for the region. A moment of wonder. The ultimate fates of these two colliding forces are striking. Today, the Temple of Artemis is a swampy ruin, completely erased from the global economy. Meanwhile, the disruptive message Paul preached in its shadow reshaped the globe. The riot of the silversmiths proves that the earliest Christian missions operated as powerful grassroots movements. They possessed enough cultural gravity to fracture the economic foundation of an empire.